and today I'm going to show you how to do some line and wash daisies that are very beginner friendly. This is an excellent step-by-step class if you're looking how to do this skill and have a fun painting practice with it. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, I almost totally ended the show.
Did you?
Pushed the wrong button.
Bye. So, this is Watercolor Wednesday. I teach acrylic over on another channel. I like to teach watercolors over here. We have a little small, happy, wonderful art watercolor family. And today I'm going to break down line and wash. We are going to use simple colors. We've got, ignore the Payne's Gray that's there. That was from earlier. I've got Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, and this particular one is Nickel Azo Yellow, but you could just use a Hansa Yellow or a Lemon Yellow, just any of the yellows that you wanted. You just want a nice bright yellow. We're just using kind of primaries with one convenience color, which is our green. Why? Because it's just a fun green and I felt like doing it. So that's why. The pen I'm using today is a Faber-Castell Artist Pen Liner. And you're looking for, in any pen you have, you're looking for the words waterproof because you want the ink to be waterproof when it's dry. That way you can wash in it and it won't lift. Now, sometimes you do kind of flub with that rule because it can be fun if it's like not completely dry and it blooms in and all that. But in this particular case, guess what? Sometimes a Bic pen or a Sharpie is waterproof. So you don't necessarily have to run out to the art store. This technique will work with very nice expensive materials, but it also works with just, gosh, I think you pull it off with a Sharpie and Crayola watercolor.
I have
pretty
a
well.
new favorite pen.
Do you?
Yes. Edding pens.
If you are not ink comfortable yet in drawing, like I'm pretty comfortable just running the ink. But if you're not there yet, you can do this very lightly in pencil first and then trace over it with the ink. Here's the rule though, if you decide to join me in pencil and you're like, there's no rules in art. Okay, it's not really a rule, but it's a goal. And come in with me.
It's a thought.
It's a thought. It's a goal. Do your best, but not to the point you stress yourself out because doing art is not supposed to, it's not supposed to stress you out. When you make a pencil line, don't erase it. It damages the sizing on the paper. It can impact the painting that you do later, and it slows down your growth as an artist. Your brain makes better leaps when you continue a thought, especially creatively, and finish it all the way to its conclusion. And so try to just draw light. And if you don't like the line and you move it, just draw it next to it. Don't erase it. Cool? Okay. Definitely don't crumple it up and put it on the floor. Because it's watercolor paper and it's expensive. So I'm going to start out by just drawing a few daisy flowers. And I'm going to do an interesting thing here. I'm going to come right here and do a daisy. And I'm going to make a round circle. It's going to be a bit of an ellipse. What's nice about me doing this is that usually when I do pencil, you guys can't see what I'm doing. But with the ink, you're definitely going to be able to see. Notice that on this edge here, I'm making little irregular choppy marks. The lines are not connected. They're very broken, right? And I'm going to pick a petal, any petal. And I'm going to pick a side petal because it's going to be one of my longest petals. I'm going to make two lines very close together at the center of the flower. And then I might even, look, I curled my petal up. What? Because I use line perspective. So you can see that there, that's doing really well. Now I'm going to come here next to it, and this petal might be shorter and kind of bent down a little bit in perspective. And we'll do that a bit with paint, because remember with daisies, they can be kind of messy. This petal could layer underneath its friend over here. I'm like saying this like they're having a meeting and they're like, I could do that. Maybe I would do that. I could do that too.
What, isn't that what they do?
I mean, they have some kind of conversation. Do you know what I didn't do?
You know,
tell the kids we were going to be live.
Oh, it's not like every Wednesday at 6 to 7 p.m. we're live.
You cannot expect children to remember that.
As the child walks in, looks
First
at us
of all, my
like,
oldest is now like getting TikTok famous, so like they could be making content or going outside or doing any of their things. And then, the other ones are gamers, so they don't really like sharing the internet with us. On this side, you'll notice that I'm blunting these and rolling these over. The petals are folded down. We don't see this far side of those petals as they go down. It would be out of our perspective.
This is a very stylish flower.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you I have done 30 flower paintings this month, and you know what I've learned? Flowers are messy.
See,
Messy.
No, see, this flower has a do. It's a mullet. See?
No, actually.
Party on
Okay.
in the back, and
So I'm
business
at
in
my
the front.
hairdresser, who is the most wonderful hairdresser, Rhiannon.
Just giant hole in your head.
And there was a very young and handsome young man, but if he didn't come in wearing Dan Carvey's hair from like the 80s,
Business
90s.
in the front, party
Oh,
in
it
the
was,
back.
and it was curly too, so it was like extra.
A perm
And he
mullet.
got it cut into a normal cut. And here's how completely, it was a very socially awkward and not totally appropriate moment for me. And just so you know, I have a lot of socially awkward moments.
Yeah.
You probably picked up on this. And I was like, woohoo! I cheered when the hair was cut.
See,
And I was like, oh, my mullet feelings are way too strong to be weighing in on a stranger's life. And then I also like invaded another person's thing, like weighing in on their hair color choices. So I've got to just mind my own biz.
And you're not drawing solid lines. You're drawing like dotty lines.
I am breaking the line. See how I'm doing this here? This is called breaking the line.
Why?
Would I do that? Because when I do that, I want you to notice some things when you're outside. When you look at the edge of things, how sometimes they'll seem like a crisp line, but sometimes they almost shimmer, right? And that is a way of creating that sort of sharp and out of focus element. I'm going to bend this one up. Look at that. I got real crazy there. I'm just feeling myself. And let's bend this one down.
Why do you break the line?
I just told you. I just told you.
I know.
Oh, okay. Now I dropped my towel because you so startled me with the why did you do it? I just answered it. I just said. All right, so we've got one here. Let's do a couple more, right? So we have a nice little class today. Let's do one where we're seeing more of the stem and the structure of the stem, and the petals are up so that we don't see the center of the flower. I'm going to come here and I'm going to make like two little hands going like this. And then we're going to, there's a name for these petals. And I keep saying, as I've been going through acrylic April, I'm going to look up the anatomy of a flower.
I have an idea.
It's so, I'm going to add some other ones there.
As soon as you're done drawing this, let me know.
Why?
Because I'm going to take it while you chit-chat with everybody and go give it a scanneroo.
You're going to scan it?
Yeah.
So that they can have these as traceables?
I'm going to try it.
Because they're freaking out at the idea they might be drawing today?
Well,
of course I'm going to give you traceables from these.
But
of course. But just, just practice the drawing for a second, guys. It's okay. You don't have to, but...
If I just got a little take picture of this before you got to painting it, that would be easier. And
then I wouldn't have to make the traceable.
Well,
there we go. I've kind of bent that little leaf over. Wasn't that fun and enjoyable? Let's give ourselves a big leaf over here. I'm going to take a line and I go upwards towards the right. I bend down. I go up. Why do I make irregular lines like that? I make irregular lines like that because nature asks me to. Nature speaks to me in my sleep. And nature says, you've got to make irregular lines or you're not looking like me. And I work very hard to have a little bit of chaos and interest in things. Oh, look at that. That's looking very, very nice, right? So we've got a couple leaves, one small, one's big. There's some variance. Now we've got the petals from this wonderful daisy here, but we're seeing the back side of them. So let's draw the back side of a petal. Okay, and you're shaking the whole house walking through. I feel like I do that. I feel like the house is making commentary on my way when I walk through. Anywho, I'm fine. It's just very judgy house. That's exactly what you should be doing during a live show. Cleaning my dirty scanner. Like if I moved to anywhere else in the paper. I didn't even know it was dirty. I'm making a very similar diamond shape, Coming up the center. Again, breaking the lines. Let's, though, give ourselves a little petal that might be here, tucked between those two. It gives us a chance to be playful in our painting. Right? And we want to be playful in our painting, don't we? Now we bent that petal back. Oh, we're so into it, aren't we? All right, so that's a good drawing. And again, I know I'm going just raw ink here. I'm doing the thing. Let's give ourselves another little kind of maybe open petal down here with stem attached. Now that we've learned how to do the open flower, right? Again, it's not a round circle, it's kind of an ellipse, isn't it? So I'm going to make this petal down here first because it's going to help me determine where my stem starts.
On your mark, get set, stem.
Whenever I bring a line up and then come around the backside of it, it gives me an opportunity to show that a petal is folded, that it's not just a smooth, flat out sheet. The other thing that we can do, and I'll do it here, is talk about maybe a tear in a petal. Because sometimes, like a little caterpillar, somebody might come by.
Go num, 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 num.
Go num, num, num. You see the lines just come out to a point. Now, when I start watercoloring this, it's going to go really fast. The drawing part of this, right, is just so you can see how it's done if you want to try to do that at home. Again, and you're going to do it in pencil if you're unsure, but you kind of want to give it a go. But then what else are you going to do? Do you guys remember? You're not going to erase. You're going to trust your line. Trust your line. Trust yourself a little bit.
I'm going to download the traceable.
Or download the traceable.
And then I'm going to paint it.
Well, usually what I do is I make a traceable after, on something like this where I'm just freehanding and doing the work here. And I'll make traceable after, and then you guys can download that. But he is right. Like, the most, like, authentic to this moment would be just scanning this. That's not untrue. I'm really going to fold that one over. Look how much I folded that. I, like, curled it, like, into a little pocket. That's a pretty nice little flower, isn't it? It's just very wandery. Now I can make a decision about my stem. Well, that's a good line. I'm going to bring a little leaf up here. Leaves are a lot like petals, but maybe they have little rough edges. Oh, that's a nice little leaf. And before I finish my stem, I'm going to bring a little leaf out here. I'm going to curl that over because I got to be weird and have fun. Why? I don't know. I just sometimes have to do that. Yeah, now I've got a little stem there. That looks pretty good. So we paint on these for a minute. I think this is a nice amount to take in. Although I could do one that was sort of like up and I've got one more little style I think I want to show you. Okay. This one I'm not going to complete the circle, guys. I'm not totally going to complete the circle. Don't complete the circle. Just.
Are you talking to Carol Ann? Who's like, what are we doing here?
Well, we might be kind of talking to Carol Ann.
Don't complete the circle.
I am going to create a sort of downward little petal, and then maybe this one is going to come back. Okay, and then let's bring this out here. We're just kind of making a flower that's at a slightly different angle, and it's in and of itself is just a little more artful, because you can do that.
Well, you are very artful.
Well, one would hope so. I get to do this online with you guys all the time, and you are the most amazing. And listen, even if you're feeling nervous about this, and I know watercolor and new mediums and stuff are nerve-wracking, but remember, if you could do it with a Sharpie and a Crayon on regular paper, it's probably a pretty friendly technique to you, right? This flower has just seen so many strange things. I'm going to let its stem kind of come down there and maybe a little bit of that stamen there. And then we'll bring a little stem down. Maybe this one got cut a little shorter when it was picked. Notice I kind of make this strong lines. You guys notice that I just go up and I break and I just make a decision. Yeah. And go. One of the things that you'll want to watch for as you're paying attention to yourself, but not being critical, but paying attention to yourself as you're making art, is, are you taking the line long enough? When I teach in person, one of the things I notice that students really kind of struggle to wrap their head around is the idea that you want to paint or draw or take a line as far out on a branch or a leaf or a blade of grass. It's real easy to be timid and short with that. And it takes a minute to just flow out into it. But just know that you can get there. No matter where you're at today, it doesn't really matter. Keep at it, you will get there. Now I'm going to use a small round.
Can we scan real quick?
Hmm?
Can we scan it?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on a second.
Scan it. You want to give me a chat while you're scanning so I have somebody to talk to?
It's been so long.
Since we've been live? Oh, I just heard myself in the... So loud. It's just one of the things I've noticed about myself and my family. It's just... okay. I like Adriana Grissel asks a very good question. What technique is your favorite, acrylic or watercolor? And that's a really good question. Just a little tweak, and this is just because I figure you would want to know because you're here interested in art, is a technique is something that you do with the medium, and the medium is acrylic or watercolor. A technique would be line and wash or dry brushing or wet into wet. So it's the mediums, and mediums can be anything that we use to create our art with. Our medium could be fabric, our medium could be paint, our medium could be pencils. And that is me having a little art fact Sheldon Cooper moment. I hope that's okay. I do that on occasion. Lori's like, I've been looking forward to this all week. I'm really trying to make sure that we keep up with our Watercolor Wednesday. I know they're kind of crazy right now. I've talked with John about I want to do some recordings of them so we have some tight step-by-step lessons that are, maybe like really more structured the way I've been doing kind of acrylic. But I just wanted to make sure that even during acrylic April, we really stayed on top of trying to do watercolor. Now, next week, my mom's in town and I've got a retreat and I'm going to be definitely MIA. From all my channels and everything. And that's just because, just coming out of acrylic April and I need a break. And also, I'll be busy. America 12, I paint both mediums, but I'm more fascinated with watercolor. And you'll see, is there a reason to do the line and wash before as opposed to after? There is, and they'll get you two different kind of results. And maybe I'll take the extra time to do one and show you how they're different. It's kind of fascinating. The little slight differences, because you can do the watercolor freehand, just open and flowing, and then come back in and line it. Or you can line it and then do the watercolor, and you will get a slightly different essence to it. Now, there isn't a reason like the waterproof ink will lift. However, say you didn't have waterproof ink. Say the only ink you had was definitely not water resistant. Then you would just line after, and it would look like you did the line and wash where you lined before, but washed after. And that is also a very long explanation of that. But maybe, you asked the question, and I'm so happy to answer it because it is fascinating, isn't it? Like, why would I do that before or after? These are important things to ask ourselves. Usually those questions result in buying more things at the art store, which is my favorite reason to ask a question is buying more things at the art store. Anne's like, I have a Zoom book club meeting at 7 p.m., but being here is more fun. What is the book, Anne? What is the book? Da 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 da. And Lori's like, no worries, I'm grateful these are available. My style is evolving and I find myself exploring line and wash right now. I love line and wash. It's just kind of such a cool thing. Let's make, so it's drying while we go. I'm going to take my small brush. This is a number 6 soft aqua. And just really quick, I'm going to create a watercolor without sans lines, without the lines. So I'm going to make a little petal stroke. I will press down and then release. Gotta love that, right? Now I have to remember that I've got to leave an opening here for the center of the flower. This is definitely one of those things that's possible for me because I can hold the flower in my mind. Drawing from memory is about having visual information and creating a mental reference image that you work from. So I've got that little bit there, and then I'll go ahead and let's start with a little yellow and green. Oh, just a little yellow and green, and I'm going to come down. I'm going to get a little orange into it because into the green that will kind of go brown. I'll go ahead and start a little leaf out and start a little leaf out. Making little jagged strokes coming in. And this is just so I can show you, because you asked that great question about what's the difference in the line and wash before or after. How are they different? In what way are they not the same? Just a fascinating question in my mind. Gonna add a little more of the green. And let's take a little of our quinacridone and our yellow and kind of make more of an orange, because in the green that will go more brown, and I think that will be lovely. But in relationship to the green, it kind of takes it more into that brown. I'm going to make a half little pink of kind of an orange, and then I'll come in here. Actually, I want it much more yellow. Much more yellow. There. So we'll line that after. So that's how it would look like if I was just like, oh, I'm going to just go and...
It's a reverse line.
It's a reverse line. All right. Now I'm going to take my number 14 round. I paint with this one a lot. A lot. And I'm going to come in the center of this flower and pre-wet it. And you'll notice that the lines don't move. And go ahead and get it a little bit wet with some yellow. And while it's still wet, working wet into wet, I'm going to come in and take a little quinacridone. I'm going to let this kind of blend there, right?
Yeah.
We're just using primary colors today because we can. And next color, I'm gonna mix a nice little bit of purple with my Quin Magenta and my Ultramarine Blue. And I'm gonna work contrasting colors. That's colors that live on the opposite end of the color wheel. And I'm gonna get my petals kind of wet first. And right away, you'll notice that the center of the flower, where it is not yet dry, will start to pull into the petals, and that is okay. You don't mind that. That's a good thing. Let's get some of our yellow. And we're just going to wash this color in there. We can't really get it wrong because our lines are down. And once our lines are down, right, the drawing is stable. So like here, when paint came down, it doesn't really have the stability that this one has, does it? Get a little bit of the orange going, which is my quinacridone and my yellow. Make sure that we give that center of the flower just some real thought. Purple. Come underneath this petal with a little bit of purple. And along this back side, a little bit of purple. Anywhere I'm like going to talk a bit about maybe this being in shadow. Everything is still wet, and look at the way it just softens and blooms. And it will continue to do that, develop like a picture as it dries. All right. Come in. Let's make it a lot more orange. When we take it to our green, we'll get like a proper brown. Who doesn't love that? And I have a really good video on my acrylic channel, all the ways to make brown. There are many ways to make brown. Brown is one of those fun colors to make.
It seems like it gets made when you don't mean to make it.
No, well, it can. But see, you know what the difference is between a mistake and a technique?
Repeatability?
Repeatability. You've been listening. Sometimes I just don't know if I'm out here. Not with John. He's just here. But like sometimes because I can't see you guys.
I'm just here.
Okay.
Like a microphone.
And all right. America 12. Drawing is my weakness. If I ever get good at sketching, the painting turns out better than my expectation. Well, that's something, right? That tells you something. Drawing is just a skill, and if you're developing painting as a skill, you can develop drawing as a skill. I think I'm going to come in and I'll definitely pre-wet this over here on my upward daisy. Goes pretty quick when it goes, doesn't it?
I like to watch like a fly on the wall.
I'm going to come here and allow this to just bloom up. And the capillary, see how the capillary pulls it up into the petals? That's really wonderful, isn't it? But then I'm going to come back with a little bit of my Phthalo Blue.
That's pretty.
If I go outside the lines, it doesn't really matter, does it? The drawing still holds. It's all still going to hold for me. It's all still going to be okay. I want to take my brown over, create a little more brown with my green and orange. Can even kind of pop a little color in here and be very playful.
I wouldn't have expected the green to go in there.
It was very unexpected. Sometimes you got to be unexpected.
The unexpected green.
Bring a little orange. There we go. We found our brown, didn't we? Now you can come down this, and since it's not pre-wet, it's not blooming. I rinse out pigment. I can lighten what I'm putting on here in value. Now that you didn't expect, did you? Doesn't become, it goes gray. Come underneath and create some shadows here. Just play with it and allow it to find itself. Always move it if I need to. You can always come back. If you've got a line you don't like, you don't feel like it's soft enough, you can come back and change it. Lori says, I wish I could get my paints to flow like that. I have Oxgall and it still never moves. If you have Oxgall and you're working with Core or Sennelier Aqua or Daniel Smith and it's still not moving, it's the sizing on your paper. Are you on Faber paper? I'm on. Want to hear something cool? This is Faber paper, extra white. It has a very special sizing on it. That's the treatment on top of the paper. for watercolor paper. You want to know how old this paper company is? I'm going to talk about this a lot now because I learned this at the latest trade show and it kind of exploded my brain because I thought the oldest painting company that I worked with was 275 years old, but this is 8 centuries old. Faber-Castell paper is 8 centuries old. So they're kind of good at making paper. Centuries. 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 That was sort of exciting to learn. It was not a thing I learned, but I met the, I think that was the owner, wasn't it, that we met?
Yep.
And, oh man, he was fascinating and super excited about his paper. And then I just kind of listened like a fly on the wall, and I was like, I knew it was amazing just because painting with it is a joy. It is. It's a joy. But I didn't know it was like so cool, like conceptually. And now also I know why they're good at it. So getting to my brown. Oh, there. That's where you find it. Orange and green. I'm going to come on the inside here, and I'm going to come around this little center of the flower. So, yeah, it's like, holy cow. Oh, you know what? That's so funny. 1264. That's the name of their economic paper. It's not student grade, but it's just not as pricey as the Faber-Castell. And it's 1264 because that's when their company was like super founded. So somebody did the math. I never do the math. Okay, I've taken that kind of brown green and I've run it around the edges, and then I'm going to make a little bit of brighter orange here. Like you do. Was that funny, Jen?
Yes.
And I'm going to just blend that in. I'm going to leave a little bit of white there, maybe. Maybe not. Just a smidge. I'm going to put a little pink there to be playful. And I think I'm happy with that. I like that. That little bit of whoosh. Question, how old is Arches paper then? I don't own any, but I just wondered. Well, here's the thing. Arches has changed hands several times. So as old as the current... Somebody Google that. How old is Arches paper? Not as old, I believe. I might be wrong. But that's a good question, Lisa D. I have some feelings on Arches paper because as companies change hands, sometimes through new management, new formulation, new purchasing decisions, the basic core of the company gets changed because the people who were just crazy passionate about it may not be there at the helm. So somebody Google that and then come and report. How old is Arches paper as a company? How do you keep it from getting muddy? So couple of things. I start with colors that are probably going to stay very clarified. This palette, Phthalo Blue, Phthalo Green, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, and then Azo Yellow, not really going to get muddy on me. But, like, say if I kept painting over this with different colors, as I did, all those colors would intermix. And at some point, if you mix yellow, red, and blue, you get brown or gray or black. And that's when they can get muddy, when you're looking to get like a bright yellow or a really bright color and you've gotten them muddy. That's what happened. That's what happened to you. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my brown over here. And I'm going to tone and gray my ultramarine blue. So do you see how that takes it from that bright, bright blue to this sort of grade blue? That's how I do the knocking it back. I paint with this gray all the time in acrylic. I use ultramarine blue and I usually like, my brain just went blank. Just blank, but burnt sienna. I'm just like, remember that? Colors. Now as I come forward on the front face, I've added more water into my brush, right? And these petals are lighter, aren't they? Just a little bit lighter, and then I might come in and get just a little more blue into that gray mix. Ah, 1492. Looks like Fabriano has it. But again, Fabriano's been owned by, it's a singular line company. It's not been bought by a conglomerate yet. The art world is rough, right? It's hard for these businesses to stay in there. Like, I don't know if any of you guys know the trouble that even Fredericks has been through lately. It's hard for these companies.
But I have to say that not all conglomerates are made the same. Because, like Golden, you wouldn't think of them as a conglomerate, but every time, one of the things they do almost in, I don't know if you would call
I'm going to
it
wet
like
the center here.
spiritual work, but a lot of small paint companies struggle to be able to make it in the modern world because passionate paint makers are often not good marketers or manufacturers.
They're not good at business.
Right.
The businesses. I'm continuing with some magenta here to just sort of wet that flower.
Golden has purchased several smaller paint.
That's not several, one.
I thought they bought a second one.
No, I mean I'm only aware of the oils.
Yeah, Harrisburg
oils, and that's because they were longtime friends.
Yeah, and
too.
I thought they had one more that they.
If they did, they just did it, and it was announced this last show, and I didn't get to talk to them as much as you did.
Well, yeah, but that was just one example.
I'm just taking pink.
Yeah,
no, but the owner had died, and everybody was going to be out of work, and the way Harrisburg oils are made is very unique and special, and there's not, like, you look at Sennelier, there's not a lot of companies that hand mill their paints in that same sort of way, and so Harris, they were one of those, and so I think Golden just felt like compelled given their relationship and history, and they kept the employees.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that they kept the paint or the name or the brand and they made some money on it. Boy, well, I'm clearly got a feeling on that. I'm adding some purple to this pink flower. But they came to save the people who make the company. Yeah. And then they're an employee-owned company. And so they have a real philosophy of caring about their people. They just generally do.
Good peoples.
Yeah. Good peoples.
But you're flowering.
I'm flowering. It's okay. I got all distracted by what you're saying. I'm still going to paint when my Zoom thing is over. And say what the book was, because I think I missed it looking away. I'm going to go back and read the chat.
Let's see here.
You will see says, what exactly is a conglomerate? How about, I paint the stem. You explain conglomerate, John.
Oh, okay. So let's go up here. How do you keep it from getting muddy?
Oh, I did that one.
Okay, so just want to make sure. What is a conglomerate? Okay, so it's a business entity that merges other business entities. Hold on a second. Let me see something. Do.
I'm coming along my stem with some yellow. And then I'm going to wet my leaves and let the yellow pull into that.
A couple things.
All right.
So I'm going to go back to this real quick because first I want to say, hey guys, sorry on Facebook that sometimes because of the way that Facebook thinks that
it locks us out while we're live. If you're wondering, why aren't you chatting with me right now? It locks us out.
I can't. So right now my screen says this page isn't available right now. This may be because of a technical error. We're working to try to get it fixed. Please reload this page. And I reload the page, and then it says something like, you're posting too much. You've been disabled by this feature. And then it goes back to that other page.
Right. Sometimes I'm in Facebook jail for art.
That way you guys know we're not at all. I got it back for a split second.
I have Facebook love. So much love on Facebook. I see you. By the way, I go back and I read the chat.
So
I do. I go back. It's important to me. Y'all are important to me.
But yeah, okay, so a conglomerate's just a company.
Thank you. Williamsburg. We kept saying Harrisburg. That was me.
Oh, yeah.
I'm so tired, Mary.
I think it may have been me. My fault.
Okay.
But it's a company made up of other smaller companies that are generally trying to do the same kind of thing. So like a bunch of little art companies would be all purchased up into a larger company that then uses its corporate power to do other interesting things, like make deals that the smaller ones couldn't do. So this larger group of
I can't see
companies
Ann.
rolled up together. It's not
Oh,
doing
Ann,
anything.
I totally get what you're saying, and I just want you to know I support you.
It's not. See, it's disabling us from not being able to see the chat.
Yep,
says,
it does.
no.
But they can't see that.
I was trying to show you chat, but it was.
Oh, you were showing me chat, but it disabled the chat.
It disabled it.
Okay. All right.
So.
Oh, here's what. I know that we have rules about religion and nudes and politics in my Facebook groups and on YouTube, and I want you guys to understand something. That is entirely because the internet likes to fight. I support prayer. I support pronouns. I support science. I support history. I support people doing people. I'm for it. I think it's good if you're political. That's wonderful. Not on Twitter. You guys, Twitter does not make you better at it. But like if you like show up and volunteer and vote and stuff like that, I think that's wonderful. I think if you paint nudes, that's wonderful. I think if you have faith or don't have faith, that's wonderful. I'm good with who you love, and I'm good with every part of you. I am a little bit prejudiced against people who are hateful. I'm going to be real honest. I'm working on it, but I haven't gotten past it yet. However, what I found, I didn't used to have any of these rules. What I found over time was that 95% of you are super reasonable in everything that you do and say. Wouldn't upset anybody, doesn't freak anybody out. But every once in a while, man, a humdinger comes through and it explodes the world. And then everybody yells at me and I didn't even do anything. And then that's how we got there. And I so appreciate when you guys support me in that sort of curating of chat, curating of internet spaces. It is entirely, again, because every once in a while somebody just has a reaction you couldn't predict and you can't see coming. Like I just put up a post about like, don't, speak up to hate, be a chorus of empathy. And wow, you could tell what was going on in anybody's life because they really felt I was specifically talking about that thing. And I think at this time in the world anymore, there's enough things. It's a cornucopia of problems.
There was just so much that you could choose from.
Just so much. I just wish that the world would stop overachieving in this area. And so I really appreciate it. And yay to your book club. And I just want you to know that those policies are about internet humanity, never about your personal thing. And if ever we decline a post, it's not because we don't support you. All right. Sometimes it's just because we don't even remember our own. I have so many videos now. The mods don't even know everything I'm painting. I'm going to line over this. So I have done this, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to come over what I've drawn, and I'm going to line it. And you'll kind of see that there is a slightly different vibe to it. It's not worse or better. It's just different. And what you're going to be doing is just making a decision to, just draw over what you see. Yeah, I don't think Twitter improves anybody's opinions. I don't know what happens there, but it's like pocket dimension or something. And then you add bots to it, which are just fake accounts that say things to upset people. And then no one ever just knows it's a bot, even though it's on, like, super obviously a bot. It's just very, very strange. I say that because I have a Twitter account and I share art over there. So if you ever want me to really see your painting, you can share your art over there. Just pop in, share your painting, and then pop out. It's safe. My zone is safe zone. You pop in, drop a painting, come out. Huh. That's what you do. Drop in, pop a painting, come out. I'm so funny and weird. Or I feel like I am.
You are very funny. I enjoy your company.
All right. Acceptance of the word of the day. And I'll tell you something. I get asked a lot. I get asked a lot of questions now that I haven't been asked before because, my family's sort of out there more than they have been in the past. But one of the things I get asked is the difference between tolerance and acceptance. And this is my thought of the day, if you've ever wondered this. Tolerating something implies an internal resistance. You don't like it, you're not okay with it, but you realize you have to deal with it and must, factor in that it's there. So like, you might have to like tolerate something you find unpleasant. Accepting it is a softened position to that, where you recognize that that is part of how things are, right? Like that's part of the world. And even if you choose something different, your resistance to it has softened out. That's my opinion on that. And I like acceptance much better. I used to say, be more tolerant, but then I realized that slight difference in the language, and I changed my wording to acceptance. I find that as I get older, I change my wording, not to be politically correct. I think somebody, I don't know, said that to make us all like feel bad about just trying to be polite. I do it to just be polite, to just be compassionate, to recognize that my words can be impactful. And if I can be thoughtful in those words, I will. It doesn't mean I haven't completely failed, man. I've had, during the COVID, I had some real failures in my character. I got real tired and fatigued. But it's a journey, right? It's a process. We work on our painting. We work on ourselves.
Yeah.
I just monologue like a villain.
That's okay.
All right.
This is your show.
This reminds me I need to paint a few cards. Mother's Day is coming. These would be perfect for Mother's Day cards. I probably could have tagged the video for that. Oh, Coney says something really wonderful. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. All right, I'm going to, with your permission, I'm a monologue. I'm going to say something super intense and truthful. You guys ready?
Yes.
I don't know what comes after this life, and I don't know what came before, because we can all have opinions about that, but those are, opinions or faith or speculations. But I do know right now, this is it. This is the moment. This is your moment. Don't flitter it away. Don't waste it. Be the most amazing in this moment that you can be. Don't like put it off to later. Don't defer yourself. Don't unless you're a vampire, then I guess do what you like because you've got time.
Yeah.
But short of that, if you're not a vampire, if you're a regular human and you have a finite lifespan, again, not saying what comes before, after, or if at all, but just right now, this is it. This is it. So just, like I always tell my mom, take the trip because this is it. Enjoy this moment. Stop and see the sunset. Don't wait to hug the person that you need to hug. Don't wait to say I love you. Don't wait to take up a new hobby. It's your moment. It's never too late to begin it. And as long as you're here and breathing, you are in the cycle. You're in the wheel. And I think every day I get to do this, where I get to paint with you guys and be online. I'm so glad that I was brave and I started the YouTube channel all those years ago. I'm so glad John jumped in with me. And I just want to encourage you to do something in your own life that you have been putting off, to not put it off. The time is now. Be amazing now. Look right into it and go for it. All right. So that's my Karen's, I think COVID showed us what we need to work on character-wise. COVID was too good of a teacher, Karen. COVID taught me too much. All right. It did. I really, lots to work on all the time. Be good to yourself, guys, and be good to each other. And I want to see you at Anizo really soon. Bye-bye.